at the top of Niagara Falls. Look at that. Look how close we are. We got our coffee. This is how we woke up. Now we're gonna take a walk along the Ontario, Canada side of the falls. Looks like a pretty long walk. Let me show you behind us. I'm not sure how much you're gonna hear me over the roar of the falls. But in the distance right there, you can see 2 boats. That's what we're thinking about going on. It's called the Maid of the Mist. We'll see what the lines look like. Pretty early and it's a lot of people out. You enjoying your coffee, Mike?
Tea, yes.
Oh, yes, I'm having coffee. How close are they gonna get? They're going. They're going. What do you think? Are we going?
If the line is wrong, raincoats, this coats.
We're on the Maid of the Mist, waiting for folks to get on. And it's supposed to be like a 15-20 minute boat ride, so I'll take video of that. We got our Maid on the Mist, what do you call it, ponchos. We'll see how well we get. We're at the top of the boat. We're in a great spot right in the front. You can see the falls behind us, so we'll see how close we get to it. These plastic ponchos are hot. I'm gonna show you we're at the top of this boat. Let me show you that. So there's some people on the bottom part. And now we're just waiting. I don't know if you guys can hear that sound, the roar of the falls. That's one. So Niagara Falls is, I think, 3 falls. And we're headed to the biggest one, which you could barely see because of all of the mist. And it's so funny because we're getting ready to leave. All right, so you're gonna ride on the Maid of the Mist with us.
These low-emission boats offer an experience that is undisturbed by engine noise, vibrations, or exhaust fumes, and are unlike any others that journey to the heart of Niagara Falls. If you look to your left, you'll see the American Falls. It is 180 feet or about 55 miles, 12,000 meters. The falls were 7 miles or about 11 kilometers downriver at Lewiston. Sitting now at the present location because of erosion.
It's starting to get windy, very, very windy. And after an amazing experience, y'all see that rainbow? So if you want to, you can like climb up to what they call the crow's nest. So this is the people there waiting to take a picture at this observation deck, but I don't think it's worth the wait. But it's a nice little, tiny, nice little nature hike up to this crow's nest. So we're back, relaxing and recovering from our whirlwind trip to Canada. It was our first time there, and we had an amazing time. It's a really good, first dip your toe into international travel kind of place. Like I could totally see, take your kids, take your grandkids, and go to Toronto, go to Niagara Falls. Is very simple, very easy. One of the things we were surprised about, the border crossings were super easy. I mean, it didn't take us long. It felt like just going through a toll booth, really. I mean, they ask you a couple of questions, but it wasn't long at all. I was surprised that they don't stamp your passport. So if you are excited about getting a stamp on your passport, they don't do that. But again, like a super simple ride cross over to the border. It was very easy.
So one of the first things we did when we got to Toronto, we went to, kind of check out the food scene. We went to this one very unique kind of hipster kind of area. Gave me the feel of kind of like a lot of small artisanal kind of shops and things like that. We tried poutine for the first time in Canada, which is basically fries and gravy with cheese curds on it, but people put all kind of stuff on it. We did the classic version. It's okay. It sits in your stomach kind of heavy. I mean, the taste is okay, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I had that experience. I'm not running back to get poutine. So
yeah, it's very heavy. It's very heavy, and I can see it being really good. It depends on the gravy, right? Yeah. So I can see it being very good, but yeah.
Yeah, so we've had fries with gravy on it when we were traveling through West Africa, and I remember that more fondly than our poutine experience.
That's true.
In Canada, yeah. But then we walked through this Kensington Market, which is like, yeah, it's just tons of restaurants and food shops and gift shops, kind of not really like gift shops, like art shops, different kinds of artists. Yeah, so it's just like a cool scene. Went to this Jamaican spot that was kind of literally like you have to walk through an alley to go. It's a small shop, and behind the shop there's a backyard where there's like basically like this kind of outdoor bar kind of space where they have a smoothie shop. And yeah, I mean, that was just a really cool find, because you would walk right past it, and if you didn't like stop to get a smoothie, and or juice, and we ended up back there just hanging out. So that was cool.
Yeah, that was one of my, I mean, there was a lot of favorite things, but that was one of my like favorite things, because it's just like we just chanced upon it. It wasn't something that most people would see or know. It was just it's called the House of Moses. So if you're ever in the Kensington part of Toronto, you would really just walk past it. You have to go in. It's like you have to go inside of a store that like sells different wares and ask for juice. You would never think, like, buy a juice ticket. So you would never think to go in that store for juice, and then you come back out, and then there's a man there. It's very I didn't get his name, but very lovely man.
Probably was Moses.
Moses? Probably.
Probably.
I don't know.
Moses, I mean,
but he makes juice and smoothies from scratch from the fruit that's there. It's an ital place. So for those of you who don't know what ital means, it's vegan.
Ital just all natural.
Yeah, all natural.
Plant based. Yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as you go in, there's a sign that says, no, what is it? No meat, no tobacco allowed. And then so like once you buy your ticket, you go through like this thin narrow like alleyway, and then you go inside, and it's this beautiful it's just this beautiful place to kind of just sit and vibe and drink your juice. There's like a huge tree. It was just so beautiful. So it was just a really nice, unexpected find. And we hung out there for a little bit, or as they call it, we were liming. Liming. So we were learning like the terms. Like liming is just, like you just go out and hang with people. That's what liming is. So I thought a little bit about that. So I feel like a lot of the times when you hang out with people, it's like you're doing something else, and then the hanging out is like part of that. I think liming is you're just there to just hang out. So like you're not going to dinner and then hanging out at dinner. You're just going to like just sit and hang out with people and vibe with people. And that's my thing. So that felt pretty good. And then the other thing about just international, like going, like as soon as you cross the border to Canada, like the highway signs change. So it's no longer in miles, it's in kilometers. And so you have to like quickly kind of figure all of those things out. And it took me a while, like what is happening? Like how far is this? And
yeah, so we've done travel international, but we haven't done that much driving internationally, so it's just like it's a shift. Fortunately, people were still driving on the right side of the road, so we didn't have to make that shift. But yeah, all the signs are totally different. The distances and kilometers. You have to kind of figure out the speed limit. It's like 100 kilometers per hour. You're like, what even is that? But yeah, so it's just those quick kind of adjustments you have to make as soon as you cross over these arbitrary lines that have been drawn, on Turtle Island.
Yeah, that and the temperature. But usually, places with the temperature, they'll say both. They'll say it in Celsius and then they'll say it in Fahrenheit. But the highway signs, it took me for a loop, and I found a quick shortcut. So it's like if you take the kilometers and multiply it by 3 and then move the decimal point, then you'll have like a very rough approximation. So like, let's say a 5K, so you times that by 6, that's 30, then move the decimal point, it's about 3 miles. And so like technically I think a 5K is like what, 3.1 something miles. So it's like a really rough thing. Once I remembered that, I was like, okay, now I have some idea of how to quickly
you said multiply by 6.
Multiply it by 6.
First time you said 3. So multiply by 6.
Yeah, multiply it by 6 and then move the decimal point. So one of the things I love to do every time I go to like a new country is 2 things. I love to like ride on their local metro or their local transportation. Like I just like to like move about the city the way locals move about the city. I'm not a real big fan of taking taxis everywhere. I just feel like you kind of miss out on getting like the vibe of the country. And then the second is going to supermarkets. I love going to a supermarket because like just getting like food is a very big thing about the culture. So anytime we go places, I want to do that. And so we did that in Canada. The metro was cool. It was clean. It was a little too like, I guess I'm used to New York subways, and then in DC, like it's like, I feel like it's easier there. You have to like buy a ticket, then wait 5 minutes. I don't know. I just felt like it was a little too much, but the trains were super clean, super nice. I enjoyed moving about in the metro.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty simple because you can buy tickets online, which
you only could buy it online.
No, you could buy it through the machine too. But
no, she said the lady said.
Yeah.
She didn't say the machine wasn't working. She said you can only buy it online.
Well, they have machines there for something.
She said. Yes. I asked a couple of times because that didn't make any sense to me. Because what if you're not connected? So she was like, no, you only could buy it online.
Yeah, I mean, they had machines there where you could buy. So I'm assuming the machines must not have been working or whatever. But yeah, we had to buy online. The thing that stood out to me is just like the way the platforms are and how when the train pulled up, there's like a big gap between the side and like getting on the train, which is like I've never seen that before because it just seems like people are gonna slip and foot's gonna fall through. Like it was probably like close to a 1 foot gap in between the train and the platform, which is just different. That was. Yeah, different.
And then the supermarkets. I mean, we just went to one. But yeah, the food, I mean, their foods was very different, and we bought a bunch of different like snacks home. And yeah, the kids are loving that. So, like I'm minimalist inspired, so like I don't like to like just buy like tchotchkes or like those souvenirs. The snacks get eaten up, and it's just a fun way to kind of experience a different, like a different part of a different culture. Like, so in Toronto, a lot of the things are English and French. A lot of the snacks also was French. There was like, if you're a fan of Party Mix, I like Party Mix. My son, I think he said that's his favorite chip, Party Mix. They had their own Party Mix, a different kind of Party Mix that was, I really like it. I actually like it better than a Party Mix you can get here. So now I'm thinking like, how do I get some Canadian Party Mix other than going to Canada? So. Yeah,
I mean, you see a lot of the same stuff. Some brands are just, global, but then you get those smaller, like, not necessarily even smaller, but like more like national brands that are owned that haven't crossed borders yet. So it was a nice experience to try some new things, new flavor profiles, just kind of putting together things in a way that you just wouldn't find in an American supermarket.
Yeah, I feel like everything that I had that was chocolate was sweeter. Like I like dark chocolate. I like a little bit of the less sweet. But even their dark chocolate was super sweeter, and the snacks that I ended up buying home. But even in like the cookies that we had there, they were really good, but much sweeter. So I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, that's interesting because you think of America as being the most sugar-loaded place, anywhere. But the Canadian like snacks seem they're on par, if not beyond like the sugar content. What you might find is maybe not as much high fructose corn syrup, but I don't know. Maybe they do the same there too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And I brought home some coffee, and I'm actually enjoying their coffee. Their coffee was much cheaper and stronger, so I'm liking that too. So I don't know. I might have to, find some ways to like get some stuff, get some Canadian stuff here or the next time, because we will definitely be back, because it was super easy to get there from us. It was about what, 9 hour drive, which for us is like nothing. Which for Mike is nothing. He's the driver.
It's not nothing. It's not nothing. It's just not undoable. It's just like, it's not like, oh, 9 hours, no way I'll drive that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's not nothing.
It takes us. That's less time than it takes us to go visit our family in Augusta, Georgia. So yeah, it was pretty a pretty easy trip to Canada.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the partying. So the reason why I was super, super excited about this trip is I've been to Carnival before. I've been to a couple of different carnivals. The last like big carnivals, I went to Trinidad's Carnival, and that was like over a decade ago, and I had such an amazing time. But anytime I go to some of these things, I go by myself because Mike is not really like a partier. But this time he decided to join me, and we had such a great time. I was so, so happy to be able to kind of have that experience with Mike, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So as a non-partier, what were your thoughts?
I mean, it was cool. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it's just like, I guess it's a new experience. I mean, like, it definitely, it's a lot happening, at one time. They're it's a whole parade where they're like people masquerading, like playing masks, and so there's all these different groups, and people are running around in their costumes trying to find their group, and so it was just kind of, at some points, like, just wondering like what is going on, like how is this organized, where are we going, when are we moving, but I mean, it was just like it's good vibes, like everybody was there to have a good time. I mean, one of the things I don't like about like going to like parties and things like that is like how it seems like a lot of it is like vying for social status, like people trying to prove how cool they are, or trying to like posing and things like that. And it's just a different environment when people kind of show up to it with just like, we're just here to celebrate, like nobody really caring about, like judging what someone else looks like or whatever. And it is, like people wearing costumes, some of them wearing like very scantily clad.
Scanty.
Like so and it's just like, but people are like very like open and unapologetic about just who they are, and just there to celebrate. So I mean that's cool.
Yeah. So for some people who've never done it before, I can see it's complete mayhem and chaos, right? If you don't know what to expect, things look unorganized. But just to kind of explain it for those who aren't used to it, it's like, you have like these big bands, and then these bands are so big, they split them into sections. And each of these sections have masqueraders who have like a different costume in a different color. And so you're a part of this band, and you have a parade route, and you have this big truck with the band on it playing the music, and then you have the masqueraders in their different sections and in their different costumes following along the band. And so that's just one band. And so the bigger the country's carnival, the more bands you have, the more sections. So it's a ton of people. And the costumes are amazing. They're beautiful. So you have the masqueraders. Those are the people in the costumes. Those are mostly women, but men masquerade too. They have men costumes. So I was a masquerader. I had a beautiful costume. I was so impressed with my costume. I loved it. It was very good quality. And so Mike was not a masquerader. He was a marshal. And so a marshal is a person who it's almost kind of like protection or like security. Like you keep the masqueraders on track, right? Because the masqueraders, they're drinking, they're having fun, they're being crazy, and you want them to be safe. You want to keep them along the path. So the marshals just make sure that the masqueraders don't get off track or whatever. And then the third people to think about are the stormers, and the stormers are just regular people who are supposed to watch. They're supposed to watch the masqueraders, but they don't. They decide that they want to join in the fun. So it costs money to be a part of a band. You buy your costume, you buy your ticket. And the stormers are there and they want to enjoy the fun, so they storm in. And so we actually had a issue in Toronto, like in Trinidad. Stormers was not a problem because each of the bands, they had their security. They made sure that they protected the band area from the stormers. But in Toronto, that did not happen, and it kind of ruined the experience for some people. Me, I don't care. I'm just kind of like, stormers are gonna storm. That's what they do. And if I wasn't part of it, I would be a stormer too. So I'm just like, eh. But yeah, they really did kind of cut the fun short once the stormers kind of.
I mean, a few people mingling in is one thing, but when like the whole onlooking crowd pretty much like clogs up the walkway, trucks can't get through because the trucks are leading the bands, and so the trucks can't get through, and people are crisscrossing the street, and it just became pretty chaotic.
Party done.
Yeah.
That was it. Once the stormers stormed, it was cut short, and it was over with. So I mean, I don't know. They said that this was like the first time Toronto did it in that way, in that area. So there's still some lessons that they have to learn. And I would, if I ever did it again, I would probably wait until they learn those lessons. Because that experience did kind of damper the experience for the masqueraders.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was really great.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about the playing mass? How was marshalling?
I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. There was no instruction, they give you a shirt and you just walk along and just figure things out. And then at certain points, people would come up to me and ask me questions because I'm a marshal. I'm supposed to know things. I was like, I know as much as you. Like, I have no idea where we're going, what time we're leaving. So in that sense, it's kind of, but maybe we just missed the training because we didn't come first thing in the morning. So maybe, I don't know, but something tells me that we didn't miss any instruction. They just didn't give much. I guess it's just a very laid back kind of thing.
It's very laid back.
But for thousands of people, trying to get them moving systematically, you might want to have a little bit of organization.
Yeah, it's very laid back. So what I would say is, like, if this sounds interesting to you, if you're a kind of go with the flow kind of person, good vibes, you just want to hang out, you just want to have a good time, this is something that you might want to do. But if you like order, if you like clear instructions, if you like to know what's happening, if you don't like to just be sitting and hanging out and liming, this is not for you. Absolutely not. But you might enjoy the fetes. So Carnival is usually a couple of days, and so you're on the road, playing mass for pretty much all day. You have lunch, and then after that you go home just in enough time to like change your clothes, maybe take a shower, and you head to a fete. And you do this for a couple of days. So it's like nonstop, it's nonstop partying. Like I had Mike promise me, I'm like, you got to give me a full 24 hours, and no one sleeps. You don't sleep until it's all over. And so we went home, we had enough time to eat and change, and then you go to a fete. You want to explain the fete?
I mean, the fete is basically a mix between a concert and a party, basically. There's people performing, but it's as much about the interaction within the crowd as it is about the person on the stage. So people are, yeah, I mean, it's you know, Carnival, well, at least is heavily, you know, soca music, and so yeah, they had a bunch of different soca artists, and yeah, I mean, it was yeah, it was a great concert, great event. Yeah, I mean, it's better if you know the music well. So like, you know, they play the first couple notes and people are jumping up and down, and like, you know, because everybody lives that soca life. They know the music. I didn't grow up with soca music, so there's only a couple songs that are like, oh, I've heard this before. And so like yeah, but you could tell like the crowd is like a, you know, it's like a true like soca crowd, because you know the crowd stays amped up. So yeah, I mean, it was a good experience.
Yeah, and the other thing that makes it up is outdoors. So it's a huge outdoor area, and it feels nice, and it's not about like, you don't necessarily need to be all the way in the front. Some people do, but you can just kind of hang out with your crew, and enjoy the music and dance and have a good time. So that was the Fed, and we went to see Marshall Montano, which he's a big soca artist. The previous night before was Bungie Garland. Marshall gave a great performance. It was absolutely great. I'm not, you know, like, I listen to soca, but usually when I do, it's the older music, so I wasn't really familiar with the current songs. And I, quite honestly, I enjoy the older songs much better. I feel like it's a lot like hip hop. I don't know if it's just I'm getting old or what, but I just feel like the older music is better. So there was a couple of times they played some of the older songs, and that's when I got amped. Some of the newer songs, I thought they were okay. But maybe just because I'm not living that soca life every day. Currently, my big sis, she's into soca. She's actually who brought it into my life like decades ago. And so like, yeah, it's just good, feel good, have fun music. That's about all about the partying. And then we wanted to just kind of enjoy some of the great Canadian outdoors, or, you know, some of the outdoor aspects of Canada. And we, of course, we decided to go to Niagara Falls. It was only a couple of hours away from Toronto, and we had Turtle with us. And so, yeah, we hopped in Turtle and we went to visit Niagara Falls, and that was just an amazing experience, even better than I expected, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the falls, I mean, are beautiful, majestic. I mean, I definitely previous experiences going to waterfalls typically is connected like hiking trails. So it's something like especially unique when you're like walking through nature and you just like come to an opening where there are falls. So I definitely appreciate that experience. To me, it's like the ideal waterfall experience. But even with all the development and stuff in Niagara Falls, it's just, you just can't deny like the beauty and like the grandness of the falls. We didn't know before getting there that there are actually 3 falls that make up Niagara Falls. So it's not just one big waterfall. It's three unique sections. But yeah, it's like as soon as you walk up to the park where we walked up, it's called Table Rock. So you see the water flowing towards the falls, and it's just like, wow, like just the mass of it, like the amount of water, the power, the speed that it's moving. It's just like, yeah, I mean, it's just something to see, to be like right at that level where the water is gonna start cascading down. Yeah, and it's just it's beautiful to see.
I mean, it's a big tourist attraction, so there's a ton of people, and so having that amount of people do kind of detract from the experience, but not in a way that it isn't worth it. So we woke up early. We had our coffee and we kind of walked along the path of the falls, and then, as you see from the video, we saw that there was the boats going to the fall, and we experienced that, and I think that's actually what made it worth it to me. I'm glad we did the Made on the Mist. It was very simple, easy. It was like a 20-minute thing. They make it, I mean, because they probably get, you know, tens of thousands of people throughout every hour. It was very easy. And when you were on a boat, it actually felt like you were in a storm. Like, that's how it was. It was a very interesting experience. One, I think that like anyone would enjoy, but definitely if you have kids, they would enjoy it.
You actually get pretty close, not too close, but very close to the falls, and like the water is choppy, and the mist from the waterfall is like, you know, spraying out. They give you these, you know, ponchos to attempt to keep you dry, but it's just water, you know, everywhere, and it just really the vantage point is like really like just a great place to really take in the falls. So what we found out, we were on the Canadian side when we were walking along the falls, and then we drove over to the US side to take the Maid of the Mist journey, the boat. We found out once we got there that there was actually a boat on the Canadian side as well. So if you happen to be on one side or the other, you don't have to cross to take the boat. And both of the boats, they just alternate. So one will go and then the other will go, and they do the same thing. So it's I mean, so in terms of like, some people will say like, which has the better view of the falls. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess
I would just say do both, because what Mike was talking about, the tabletop, that was on the Canadian side, and that's amazing to see, to be like right next to the rush of water going down down to the falls. But that was on the Canadian side. If you are on the Canadian side, you can take the boat to the falls. It's not is it Made on the Mist or Made of the Mist?
Made of the Mist.
Made of the Mist. It's a different thing. It's like called Canadian Cruises or something like that, but they do a similar thing.
Niagara City Cruise, I think is what it is.
So if you're on the Canadian side and don't want to cross over, then you can do that. But I do think it's worth seeing the falls on the Canadian side, because I don't remember seeing the Crow's Nest was the only place on the American side that you could really...
We didn't really explore, I guess, completely. Where we came in was right near the Maid of the Mist, so I don't know what else is in, because it's a whole park. So I don't know what other vantage points they have at the park. But yeah, there's this one point, I think they call it like the lower gorge, where you can go down, you know, down to the water level, and then they have some stairs that go up to what's called the crow's nest, and you get up right next to one of the waterfalls, and you get like that vantage point of being right next to it. So I mean, there's plenty of vantage points on either side. It's only like a 10-minute drive, you know, maybe like 15 minutes dealing with the border, you know, like 15 minutes total, you know, to drive and go through the border. They ask you a couple questions. If you're just saying, oh, we're just going to the other side of the falls, it's probably gonna be a very quick process. So if you're gonna go, you might as well go to both sides, because they're literally 10-minute drive up. You just cross a bridge to go. And
I feel like the Canadian side is built up more. Like that's what I was saying. Like if you wanted to like go and stay and get a hotel, like there's like the Canadian side is like a beachfront, beach town kind of area with like Ripley's Believe It or Not and restaurants, and it's like a whole thing. So the American side, I don't think not so much. So I would just say just go to the Canadian side, and they make it really easy. The only tips I would give if you were trying to save money is like, it really is a cash grab around parking. Like that's the biggest thing. Like they charge you obscene amount of money for parking, and so some of the lessons learned is like we were leaving, so I mean we didn't have any Canadian dollars, so we could have parked for cheaper somewhere else and then walked. But if you park in the actual park, it's a little bit more money, and then every like on both sides you have to park and you have to pay to park, and it's about like $30 to park. But you know, if you're only gonna be there for like 30 minutes, it seems like why does it cost this much to park?
Yeah, on the Canadian side it was 35 Canadian, which is about 30 US. And then on the American side, we paid $20. The parking lot for the actual like Maid of the Mist thing was full, so we parked at a lot like a block away. But on the Canadian side, we definitely could have parked for cheaper. We probably could have spent like $10-15 to park on the street and just walk over to the park. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely you know, it's if you going to the Canadian side, have some Canadian dollars to be able to pay for parking, because some of the places don't take credit card. Yeah.
And so I don't know why it took us this long to visit Canada, but it's our neighbor, so we definitely want to visit some more. I definitely want to go in the winter and do the whole kind of learning about tapping a maple tree and getting some syrup. You know, because in my mind it's just, you know, like a faucet and syrup pours out. Even though I know that's not true. But I want to experience that. But yeah, we'll definitely make our way back there a little bit more frequently. It's such a simple trip, and we had such a great time.
Yeah, we'll be back.
We are now approaching the canoe, or horseshoe. It is approximately 170 feet. Its width is 2,500 feet long, or 760 meters.
This part of Niagara Falls, this fall is called the Horseshoe Falls.
In North Carolina, is a school considered unincorporated.
You start to see like the shape now, and makes the name make sense.
But he survived. After his rescue, almost at this exact spot, by a native investigator. The water